Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
Good morning, and good morning. Thank you for being with us this morning. This is Change Matters. I am Colette Williams. Thank you for joining us. This is Tuesday morning here in gloomy, cloudy, foggy, sunny Southern California. Thank you for joining us. And once again, this is Change Matters Solutions. And my guest host and contributor this morning, in the absence of Kenny Hendricks and Renee Cole, I have on with me this morning Rochelle James, who's also in sunny Southern California. Thank you for joining us here at Change Matters. Rochelle, how are you this
Thank you for
morning?
having me. I'm blessed and highly favored. Thank you for having me, Yolanda. I love the show, and I am just so grateful to be a guest contributor with what we have on tap today and yesterday and possibly tomorrow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, lots to talk about,
Well, at least our
sure.
black men aren't in the news
Oh, that's a
at
good
this
thing.
particular moment.
That's a very
Yay.
good thing. We don't have any shootings other than the two officers in Palm Springs, and that's also very sad. Very, very sad. One female and one male. And the woman that was shot recently got married and had a baby, and that's just horrible. And the one that took place in Lancaster, that just devastated the entire community of Lancaster and Palmdale. It's just horrible no matter which side of the fence it happens on. It's horrible. No matter who it
That's
is,
so
where
true.
it is, what's going on. It's just absolutely horrible. And it just really seems like people are losing their ever-loving minds. Ever-loving minds. And what in the world is going on? So we're
I
trying.
asked several people, and they say that people are mad. And I
People
say,
are
mad
mad.
about what?
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. I was walking to a downtown area near to where I live, and as I'm crossing the street, this I was at a four-way stop sign, not a stoplight, and this guy was going to be making a right turn right where I was getting ready to cross the street. And as he turned the corner, he slowed down and parked in front of a library, which was behind me. And as I crossed the street, I turned back and I looked at him. And as he was getting out of his car, to me, it looked like he was holding up that middle finger. I couldn't really see correctly, but I know I saw at least one. So what I did in my reply, I held up my index finger and the middle finger to show the peace sign.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept walking. And I said, oh, my gosh, I sure hope he was not saying F you. And I said, wow, that's just, then a couple of blocks later, I was crossing the street, and this old guy was, he had to cross after he was crossing the street over me. As I was, he had to wait for me, as I was saying. And it looked like he was just ready to go, just, can you make it across the street? And then he turns around and he looks at me, and I'm saying, okay, is today not a good day? Or is it, and people are saying people are just mad. That's the response that I'm getting. I told a couple of people about what happened, and they said, yeah, people are just, they're angry.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
was.
saying, well,
uh,
can you pinpoint
Go
the
ahead.
anger? Nobody
Well,
has an answer.
some of them think they can. Some people do feel like they can pinpoint the anger. However, when you listen to people, it's just simply mad. And yesterday afternoon, my cousin and I were on the way to Kaiser on Sunset, and we witnessed road rage right ahead
Mm.
of us.
Oh,
And
wow.
this guy, it was so simple. I don't even know what the woman did, but the guy was clearly losing it. And he stopped her, he stopped us, he stopped everybody behind us, and he had to yell at this woman, call her a name, just carried on and on. And he did everything he could to intimidate her on the road. You could see that it was clearly road rage. You could see that he wanted to show her that he was in charge, and whatever she did, he was going to get her back. And I cannot tell you what she did, because it did not appear that she cut him off. She didn't jump in front of him. She didn't cause an accident. Nothing happened that would precipitated that kind of action. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Ladies,
So,
uh,
yes,
hey, this is Scotty the engineer. Greetings to everybody out
yes.
there. Ken was able to join us. Kenny Hendricks, we do have him on the line.
Yeah, I have
Great. Thank
joined.
you for
Thank
joining us.
you for that, Scotty. I'm enjoying. I'm
Well,
listening to the dialogue. Go ahead.
great. Well, thanks for joining us, Ken. And now it's Kenny Hendricks, Colette Williams, and Rochelle James. So as we
Yay.
were discussing, the people are just simply mad about everything. And I don't believe people can pinpoint it, but subliminally, I really believe it's all of the things that are taking place in the country. I believe it's everything taking place in the country, it's everything taking place in the world, from the mass killings of black men to the killings of police, the things that are going on in the political arena. Every single time there is a debate, people don't know if they want to laugh or cry. It's just out of control. And in listening to the debate, I watched that on Sunday night, and I thought, this just cannot be real. Is there a moron alive like this man? There isn't another one, I know that. He is simply a moron, and people are mad because they don't know what to think next. Nobody knows what's going to happen next from day to day. This is not simply a campaign. This is not a
Right.
campaign that we've ever witnessed
Mm-hmm.
before. It's
Mm-hmm.
this man has he goes as low as anybody could possibly go.
You know, last
He
2 weeks ago, I told a friend of mine. It might have been. I can't remember if I read something or if it was the debate, but I said to myself, you know, after I watch this stuff, I feel like I need to go take a shower.
right.
And
Yeah.
somebody wrote. There was an article out today that said the exact same thing. The
Yeah.
discourse is. You're absolutely right, Colette. The discourse has gone so low. Trump
Yeah.
paraded out ahead of time. And of course, he lied to the press. He told the press there was going to be a press conference to talk about his debate prep. When he got there, it was those four women, Paula Jones and a couple of
Right.
the other women
Yeah.
that accused Bill Clinton of sexual
Sexual
harassment.
harassment.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
and those sorts of things. He duped the press into coming there, and they fall for it every time. They fell for it a few
Every
weeks
single
ago,
time.
and they keep falling for it. You know, but back to the point that both of you guys are making in terms of people being mad. I think there's a false equivalence out there between the right and the left. The people on the right are mad, in my opinion.
Hmm.
The people on the
Hmm.
left are frustrated with what's going on. The people on the right are the angry
Are
people.
mad.
Colette,
Hmm. They're
Colette, Colette,
angry.
I, Colette, I sent you a picture yesterday or the day before of a woman at a Trump rally with a big Trump
Right.
sign, and
Yes.
she had this look of rage on her
She
face.
did. She did.
You know, and that
She
tells
did.
you exactly what's going on the right. Again, and there's a false equivalence. And I watch, all the pundits, all the shows, and They keep saying, people are so mad on the right and the left. It's not the same. We
No,
want to
it
see
isn't. No.
people on the left want to see change. We're frustrated. We are not happy with the obstruction that has befallen this president. We are not happy with the way the Republican Congress and Senate have acted in these past years. But we're not
Right.
angry like they're angry. If you look at these rallies, these people are angry. You
They
know,
are.
they
Yes.
feel that their quote country has been taken from them. you know
Hmm.
my response is, hey, welcome to the club. um
Yeah.
and that's why they keep saying, we want our country back, we want
We
our
want our
country back.
country back.
you
Yeah.
know
That's
so
because they
so
think they've been duped, they've been wronged, they have been victimized, and we want our country back. And we're going to make America great again. Really? And you think by voting for that piece of whatever it is, you can do that? No, that it just isn't going to happen. And not only is there so much discourse, but the idea that an election can go in this manner. And there were a lot of things that took place when President Obama was running. Both times, in fact, I did the phone bank that took place in Pasadena, and we made calls all over the country. I think on maybe 3 calls that I made, there were people outside of California that were using the N word or no, I would never vote for him, or that I got. And I know that there were other people in that room along with me who got calls who said similar things. But the things that are going on at the hand of this person are beyond despicable. I can't find a word that really says what this is. I can't even call it. I just know that it is beyond despicable. I don't even know if I could call it inhumane, because the things that come out of his mouth are just absolutely, they're really insane. Normal people don't make those kinds of comments. Who in the world would ever ask women to come to a debate just so that you can disrespect someone, one who
parade
isn't even present, parade
parade them
these women,
around. Hmm.
parade them around as if you're doing something right, as if that person is holier than thou. This is a fool that has been married, what is it, three,
Three
four
times, three
times?
times, three times.
3 times. He's got 5 kids from how many different women? He's filed bankruptcy 4 times. He's probably ready to file bankruptcy again. He doesn't pay taxes.
By the
He
way, by
he
the way, Trump Taj Mahal closed yesterday.
Yeah, I
Right, it
saw
sure
that.
did.
Yep.
I saw that, and I was
3,000
telling
employees
you,
affected.
right,
And
and I was telling you when we went to Vegas, when we were in Vegas in August, that hotel in Vegas was dark. And hotels are never dark. That hotel was dark with his name on the top of it. That hotel was dark. And I said, look, you guys, that hotel is dark. Really, wonder what that's about. And I could care less. I could care less. But he doesn't have what he says he has. Now, Paul Ryan is saying he won't defend him. He's not going to take back his endorsement. He's claiming that that Paul Ryan is weak and ineffective. As soon as somebody says something about him, he has the nerve to get mad. He gets mad and he tries to get back, just as he's done this morning. He says if they're going to continue to play these tapes, these inappropriate tapes, then I'm going to continue to talk.
and
He's
what he
a
does,
third grader. He's
yeah,
a third grader.
he's a petulant child. He
Yes,
you
he
know
is.
he
He's a
gets mad if he doesn't get his way. He throws temper
Right,
tantrums.
spoiled.
He
Right,
gets up
yes.
at 3 o'clock in the morning and starts tweeting people. And here's another thing: is that for people on the right, is that he is not a conservative. He has no conservative credentials.
No, he doesn't.
He's been all over the place. And somebody
He's
else
not in
wrote,
his.
and I've said this the entire time, and somebody else, I found another article that just said this the other day, that, he said he would nominate, these conservative judges to the Supreme Court. There's nothing in his history that
No,
shows that he would do that. If you
no,
look at everything he's done, it's been for himself. There's
right.
nothing that says he's going to be on the side of the people he's courting right now. So all these right wingers, whether it's the alt right, the David Dukes, all these people that love him, there's nothing in his background that proves that he will do what he says he's going to do.
And
You
there's
know,
nothing in his background that should ever make someone think that not only is he qualified, but is he a real person? There's nothing in his background that says he's a real person. Because the real people, serious people who are interested in running the country, who want to have people follow him, they don't conduct themselves like this.
well,
They don't conduct themselves.
I maintain that he doesn't want the job. This started off as a ruse to build his
Mm-hmm.
brand. He did not think he was going to make it past the primaries. He was in contract negotiations with, I guess it's NBC, who runs The Apprentice, and he was
Right.
trying to build his brand, and the whole thing snowballed. But what you're saying is exactly right. Nobody who wants this job would say the
Nobody.
things and do the things as he's
Do the
saying
things
and
that he
doing.
does.
He already
Right.
said, I think it was about a month and a half, 2 months ago, somebody said, what happens if you lose? He said, I'll just take a long vacation. Ask yourself, if you were interviewing someone for a job, particularly an important job, pretty much any job,
Right.
and you ask
Right.
them, what will happen if you don't get the job? And say, I'll just take a vacation. Would you hire
None
that
of
person?
no.
It would be clear to you at that point that that person, that job doesn't mean that much to that person. It's just
Right.
something to do. If
Right.
they say, what are you going to do? You'd come back and say, I really want this job. I'm going for it. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to get the job. I'm the best
Right.
candidate. There are certain things
Right.
you say. You don't say, I'll
I
just go take a long
I'll just take a
vacation.
long vacation. Yeah.
You can't want the
Nobody
job,
does. Yeah.
and he
He
doesn't.
couldn't possibly. He couldn't possibly.
It's too much work.
And right. It's too much work. And not only that, what person says, whether it is a debate or not, what person comes out and says, oh, I know all about Aleppo. I know all about it. I talk to the generals all the time. Oh, really? I'm sure he's talking about the stick people sitting in his car.
He did not know
He doesn't.
that he didn't
He
know
didn't.
that Putin had already invaded Crimea, and
Right.
I don't know
So,
why
but
Hillary doesn't bring that up.
for some reason, Hillary wants to be the nice girl. She wants to be nice. She wants to be calm and considerate. And I think she wants to save her comebacks for another time because she will have another opportunity to get him when he can't say anything. But he says things and does things that are just absolutely so unconscionable that I really believe it's hard for her to come back. The things that we think that she should come back with, she doesn't. But I have a question for you. Uh, Hillary says that, or Hillary, and as I've read in the news, he let him implode. He is going to do that. He's doing that now. He's blowing sky high. And how many times have we ever seen a Republican candidate running for president and practically the entire party disengages? Everybody moves away from him. They abandon him. Have you ever seen that?
No, that's never happened on
Yeah, this
either
is
side.
history in the making.
Yeah, it
No,
Definitely
is.
history
it
in the
And
is
making.
history in the making.
and
Yes.
and see, some of the months ago, maybe a year ago, people were saying Trump has changed politics forever. And I beg to differ. I don't think he has. I think he's changed the Republican Party forever. I think once we get past this, we'll be semi back to normal as about as much as we can be. But I don't
Mm-hmm.
think his antics have changed the institution, the basic landscape of the electoral process. I think it will be back to semi-normal before. This will go down in history as,
This will.
well, first of all,
Yes.
having the two most unfavorable candidates ever, and
Mm-hmm.
him taking lower than it's ever been, at least in modern times. Now, from what I understand, they used to shoot each other and things like that, but back in the a couple of hundred years ago. But
We don't know that he won't do that.
The way he stalked her, I've talked to some female friends who said that they were afraid he was going to hit her the way he was stalking. And there was one point where he actually turned his back and it looked like he was walking off the stage, but the camera shot changed quickly. But it's like the way he walked around sulking with that disgusting look on his face, trying to look mean.
Because he is a child. He is simply a child in a man's suit thinking that he can go somewhere. He is a child. He is a real moron.
I
Okay,
think he,
who in their right mind does that?
I think he's a semi-popular seventh grade girl
Yeah,
masquerading in an old obese man's body. You know,
right. Yeah,
he's
that's
got his popular clique, and if anybody says anything about him, he jumps all over them like a cheap suit.
right.
Um, Everything he does is infantile, and but he's got his supporters. But these past 2 weeks have been you know devastating for the campaign. But he just goes
Hmm.
on like everything's normal. So we'll have to see.
It
Well,
seems as
you know
if
what?
it's a game to him.
Right, right. Yeah, it is a game.
Hmm.
You know,
It is a game. It is definitely a game.
and I've been saying he's looking
And
for an off ramp. He wants he
and
what he wants is the support to go down so low he can back out and say, okay, look, I told you I'm only going to do this if you guys want me. If you guys don't want me, I'll drop out. If he takes it all the way to the end and loses, then he's a loser. And he's called Mitt
right,
Romney a loser. He called John
yeah,
McCain a loser. And that's the
those are,
worst thing in his mind, to be a loser. So what he's trying to do, in my opinion, is say things so every week there's something. He says things so outrageous that he's waiting for support to drop so he can say, hey, they don't want me, I'm going to drop out. But he does it on his terms. If
right.
he
And he'll take
loses,
it to the right,
yeah,
and he'll
if
take
it
it to the very nth hour.
yeah,
He'll
but he
take
does
it
no, no, he wants to go now. He
Yeah, he
wants to,
does. He
yeah,
wants to go now, but he's going to milk this for as long as he can. He
as
wants to
long
go
as
now, but yeah,
as
but
long as the support is there.
his
As long as the
exit
support
has
is
to be
there,
strategic. Right.
his exit has to be on his terms. The only way it's on his terms
Mhm.
is for him to say, you know what, I'm a brash, open, I'll say anything, tell it like it is kind of guy. And if you don't want me, that's fine. I don't want to be here. If it goes down to the wire, he becomes a loser. And that's his biggest fear. And if he
Right.
could get out now, if the support would drop, I believe he would get out now. But there are so many rabid right wingers who are so mad that we've had this black president for 8 years. We've had
Exactly what it is. Yep.
a black attorney general
Oh,
and
Yep.
all this. They are
They
so
are
upset
so
that they're
mad.
beside
They are
themselves
so
and they're
mad.
going to vote
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah, and they'll put anybody there as long as he ain't black.
Hmm.
As long put this moron in there because he's truly an idiot. You might get some black man who's been to school, who's articulate, who knows what he's talking about. You might get a black man that's a pretty smart guy. Put this moron in there because we know he isn't. We know he's not articulate. We know he is not smart. We know he can't even tell us where he went to school. We really don't think he's educated. He's got a third grade vocabulary. He doesn't know anything about the issues. He can't even talk about things that make sense other than she did it, she did it, you'd be in jail. What president talks like that? Not one.
Bush Jr. He was the smartest cookie in the barrel.
You know what? He wasn't the smartest cookie in the barrel or the brightest candle in the box. However, one thing I will say about that puppy, he never went like this. He never did this kind of stuff. He never did.
Right.
So he was not the brightest candle in the box or the smartest cookie in the box. He wasn't bright at all. He knew he wasn't bright. He knew he wasn't bright. That's why he was able to get here to LA, go to the convention center, and say, we need you folks to take care of drunks like us. okay, alcoholics like us. He was proud of that. So he didn't do the same thing. He didn't have the same kind of brash behavior. He didn't call people names. He did not carry on the way this thing carries on. And I believe exactly as Ken has said, Ken and others, he really does not want to go to the White House. And remember, he said he's building something next to the White House anyway on Pennsylvania Avenue.
The
So
old post
whether
office.
whether he gets to the White House or not, he's okay with that. He is really okay with that. So all of the unconscionable things that he does, his despicable behavior, the way that he calls names, he takes everything to the lowest level, the lowest common denominator. He makes things personal. And this is not a personal campaign. This should not ever
Mm-hmm.
be a personal campaign. It's about the people. It's
Right.
about the people. It's about policy. It's about making things better for the people that live in this country. He is not about that at all. Not at all. And Ken, not only will I not call that name, I will not even refer to him as an MAN because that name, man, he is not either one of those. So,
You
no,
can't have
I am
a president that won't take responsibility for anything they say or
his
anything
own
they do.
actions. Yeah.
He never
And
takes responsibility. When he called Ted
never.
Cruz the P word, same P word that he said he wanted to, he's grabbing women. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Months ago back during the primary, he blamed it on some woman in the crowd. Well, she said it. I didn't start it. And if you listen to him talk about the fact that Hillary's campaign started the Obama birther stuff first, you know what? And it really gets me that nobody comes back and says, you know, okay, let's say she did. So what? You kept it going
What
for 7 years.
you kept it going, and you're the one standing here running around trying to get people to find a birth certificate that says he was born in another part of the world doesn't even exist. And the funny part was when the president was asked about his response, and the president said, "Oh, I'm confident what my birth certificate would say." Really? Why would the president think anything else? He knows where he was born and he knows what his birth certificate is going to say. He's the president. He's on his second term. He's the president of the United States. Of course he's going to know.
Did we give
So,
out the phone numbers yet, Colette?
no,
Wanted to
we
make
haven't done that, Ken.
we're
Yeah.
coming up on a break, but I wanted to give the dial-in numbers. If you wanted to dial in and get in on the conversation, we'd love to have you. We can be reached at 704-951-5030. That's the dial-in number. If you want to just call in and listen, that's 641-715-3660. That is a conference line, and if you plug in 549032, you'll be in. And if you decide on that line, if you want to contribute, you can hit star 61.
Right.
So
And
again, this
please,
is
please do so. Go ahead.
um
Change
lo-
Matters. Kenny
yeah.
Hendricks, Colette Williams, and Rochelle James join us. And we're at
Yes,
the
yes.
bottom of the hour. We're going to take a short break. And folks, we want you to also listen. We've got a commercial coming up about a program, a conference that's coming up. So be sure to listen. Come on back. Come on back and join into the conversation. Thank you.
Marcus Mosiah Garvey once said, "The greatest weapon used against the Negro is disorganization." If you believe it is finally time to organize, if you believe black people should have their own political party and understand the importance of block voting, but more importantly, understand and want to practice organized group economics, then you need to join the 1 million conscious contributors and voters. The founders of this organization hold firm to their belief that there are at least 1 million black people, or 2 out of every 100 black persons in this country, who have the best interests of black people collectively foremost in their mind. Are you one of the 2? If so, please visit the 1 million conscious contributors and voters website at IamOneOfTheMillion.com and be sure to join them for their national convention in Atlanta, October 21st through the 23rd, 2016. IamOneOfTheMillion.com.
And welcome back. This is Change Matters Solutions. It is Wednesday, a beautiful day, and this is
Tuesday.
Change Matters Solution. I'm sorry, Tuesday. I was on vacation a couple of weeks ago, and I still haven't gotten my bearings straight. At any rate, we are Change Matters Solutions. I am Kenny Hendricks.
And I am Colette Williams, and we are joined by Rochelle James, who is our
Yes,
show
yes.
contributor.
Good
So,
morning
and we've
again.
got a thank you for joining us, Rochelle.
Sure.
We've got a
Wow.
discussion going about the debate and the election coming up, and folks, we want to put this on your heart and your mind. Please, 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 I beg you, implore you, I'm on my knees begging. Please do not forget or get so caught up that you don't vote. This is an important election. This is one of the most important elections we've ever seen, one of the most contentious elections we've ever seen. It is your responsibility to get out and vote. I was hoping to register students at a student conference last Saturday. We did send voter registration forms to schools. We have to get people out to vote. This election is critical. It means that we're either going to be on the right road or not. And we cannot forego our right. We are people who must vote. Somebody else, they can forget about it, but Black people in this country need to vote every single election.
May I
And
offer
this is,
some commentary on voting?
please, Scotty.
Yes. For those who are, as Kenny pointed out, we got two candidates who are the most, how would we say it,
Mm-hmm,
unfavorability ratings. But
Hmm.
mm-hmm.
that is more than just those two or the office of the president at stake. You also have the
Oh, yeah.
congressional, seats that's up. But if you live in a state like I live in, North Carolina, where you have so many Donald Trumps in state government, you really need to be turning out and paying attention to state elections. And then not only
Right.
that, in other states, you may have some very important ballot initiatives. For example, Colorado has Amendment T that's going to be on the ballot, which would remove the slavery exception clause from their state constitution. California has a ballot initiative on legalizing cannabis, but also to do away with the death penalty. So there is plenty of reasons
Oh, there's
other
lots of
than
them. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
president to turn out to vote. There are local politics at play, state politics at play, and in a number of
Right.
states, important ballot initiatives. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you,
Well,
Thank you, Scotty. And I do want to say one thing. What we have to really concern ourselves with is, and it's they talk about it on the news shows, and both sides are concerned with it. And I want to bring it up. It's the Supreme Court nomination. You have
mm-hmm.
to realize that Obama has nominated a very qualified justice to the Supreme Court, but Mitch McConnell and the right and the Republican Congress and Senate have said they are not even going to bring it to a vote. They will not let this president nominate a Supreme Court justice. Now, what lies in the
Right.
balance with the Supreme Court right now, we have a 4-4 split, right? Right
Yes.
wingers and
Mm-hmm.
left wingers, and this vote is going to be the deciding vote. And what's going to be at stake are things like Citizens United that have let all this money, all this corporate money, come in here and affect these campaigns. But the other thing is that our voting rights. Many of these states have
Yeah.
tried to strip
Yeah.
these voting rights,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm here in
Mm-hmm.
Texas, and they did it. As a matter of fact, my wife got we got a letter last year that said her name is what is it? What is the term? I wish I had it in front of me. It is not the exact same on, but it said it's significantly similar, but not exactly the same. The only difference is on the, I think on her driver's license, it has her middle name, and on the voting rolls,
Right.
it has her
Yes.
middle initial, and
So,
everything
right.
else is the same. So they are using
Right.
these very and the verbiage is very confusing. So people need to understand, if the Republicans get back in and they've got the presidency, especially with the House and the Senate,
Mm-hmm.
and these things, and they get a right wing Supreme Court judge on here, we are going to be in a world of hurt. There are a lot of things
Yeah,
that
we are.
that we don't see on a daily basis that will affect us.
Right. Right.
So please,
And
so
go
so
ahead.
that just say think about these things as you're voting. And again,
Right.
just like Scotty was saying, two of the most unfavorable candidates in the world. I'm not a Hillary Clinton fan, but I am much more concerned about Trump not being there. I wasn't a Bill Clinton fan, but I'm much more concerned at this time about the fact that if we allow Trump to be elected president of this country, we are going to see some things that we never thought we'd see. He's talking
Yeah.
about the other night, when Hillary talked about criminal justice reform, and it was his turn. The first two words out of his mouth were law and order. And
Law and order.
we and
Boom.
black people know what that term means. It
Uh-huh.
does, and
Uh-huh.
we're not the type. We don't want anarchy. That's not what we're saying. But what that means is, you think it's okay. You think that these cops are out of control now, slamming you up against the car, slamming you. Did you see this guy that they slammed his face up against the windshield, broke the windshield of the cop car with this guy's face? Okay. If you think it's bad now, it's going to get that much worse. So you really need to be
Yeah.
concerned. We always talk about the presidency, and don't get me wrong, that's extremely important. But some of these other things, these down ballot initiatives, these down ballot races for Congress and Senate, these are things are very, very important. So please, please get out
Right.
and vote. It's going to make all
Right.
the difference in the world.
And I mentioned to you all that in the newsletter that I get from Chicago, the Black Star Project, one of the very things that they talked about at the very beginning of the newsletter was about slave catchers, modern day slave catchers. That's exactly where we would go if something like that moron were elected. That's exactly where they would go. Modern day slave catchers. And I'm sure that there are lots of people who don't know anything about the slave catchers, but that's what police are now were. That's what they were called 200 years ago, slave catchers. And now what we have are police. So there's a lot at stake, as you have mentioned. Ken, there's so much at stake. And we cannot afford, not in any shape, form, or fashion, to allow something like that to go into the White House to be the leader of the free world. People, get out and vote. I can't say it enough. I'm so caught up in this election. I'm an inspector at the polling place in Altadena. I want to make sure that my daughter is doing the same thing, that she's out to vote. All the kids that I am close to, I'm making sure that all of them are registered to vote and they are voters. They've got to get out and vote. You cannot stay home this time. No matter what you think, how you feel, get the information, read it, have someone read it with you. If you don't understand any part of it, ask. Always ask. And the propositions are written so that they are confusing. If you're not sure if you should vote yes on one, no on the other, ask somebody. Don't be afraid. It's not it's not your fault. It's the way they're written.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid to ask the questions. Am I reading this right? Is it saying what I the way I want to vote? Am I supposed to vote yes? Am I supposed to vote no? We've got
Yeah.
to be vigilant. We've got to be vigilant, and we've got to get out there and do it. There has never been a moron like this that has ever run for president. Even Bubba's mother said she never thought he would ever amount to anything. He's dumb, just like I am, but he was president. But this one, no, this one is dangerous. This one is simply dangerous. And
For the first
anybody
time,
that thinks,
we've got
go ahead,
no we've got no former presidents supporting him.
none.
No
Right.
former no
That's right.
former Republican candidates for
That's
president.
supported.
No John McCain, no
Right.
Mitt Romney, none of the
No.
Republican candidates. He is
And
toxic.
yeah, he's toxic. There are no former VPs that are supporting him. And yesterday on the news, they showed something like 33, 36 repubs who have denounced him, who have stepped away from the Republican Party, all include.
Now
Question.
it's 50.
Uh-huh.
Sarah Palin's not supporting him. I
I
would
was
think she
saying
would be
that.
be
No,
his ride or die chick.
no, no. Sarah Palin with her simple A song. She's out also. Her picture was sitting there. She is out. She's not supporting him. She is a moron also, but not like this one. He gives a whole new meaning to moronic behavior. He gives a whole new meaning to somebody who is illiterate. He is not well read. He doesn't know the policy, doesn't know anything about policy. He doesn't know anything about what it means to run the country. He doesn't know anything about the presidency. He knows nothing. And you know what? I was, Ken, you'll get a chuckle out of this. I was going to call his girl and say to her, how's that
Oh,
song go? How you like me now?
yeah. How you
Uh-huh.
like me now? Hmm.
How you like me now? How you like him now? Now that he has done and said all these vulgar things about women, are you still running and sniffing behind him? Really?
Hmm.
You give folks a bad name. You should really
Wow.
bow out. You should really bow out. I won't mention
She should
her
bow
either.
out too.
She should bow out too. Omarosa, I hope you're listening. I
And
hope you're
actually, they
listening
they
because
just hired another African American outreach person. If you give
oh
me a
yeah,
few, if you give me a few
yeah.
minutes, I'll get it. So between Omarosa, there's a guy named Lavelle, and I can't think of his last name. Then
Oh yeah.
there's Telly Lovelace. Um, there's all these black outreach people, and on another
Yeah.
project I was involved in, I went out looking to find out what these people were doing, and this was about maybe a month or two ago. I could find nothing online, anything they were doing. I could not find them at having any conferences. I didn't see them being speaking at the NAACP, CORE, any
Mm.
neighborhoods. I saw, I mean, literally, there was nothing with regard to minority or black African American outreach that these folks were doing. These folks are being hired, they're being paraded out there as outreach people. It's frankly, it's probably a good gig. They pay you to do nothing.
Yeah.
They're hired
No
by
doubt.
both the RNC and the Trump campaign because Omarosa is working for the Trump campaign.
Right.
Telly Lovelace is working for the RNC, and I think the Lavelle gentleman is working for the RNC, and the new woman I think is working for the RNC. So they're talking about this outreach, but they're not doing anything.
What
No,
about Don
they're not doing.
King and the N word?
Oh yeah, but
Oh,
Don King, that's another mistake. That's Don King, boy. And people, I hope you're listening. Call us and join in on the conversation because we know you have a lot to say about this just as we do. But yeah, that's another one. That's another one. And remember, at the podium, he says, we need all you white women to go out and vote. Oh my God. Could really? Really? Why is it oh boy, that just makes me want to just go out and come on. And he stands there and makes those comments, uses the N word, and then tells people that's who he's voting for, that's who he's going to support. Really? And you have to wonder about these people. And yesterday, again, on the news, there were people who were picketing, of course, signs and shouting the name and on and on. And they interviewed a black woman, and she said, oh, because he's great. They had to hold me back. They had to hold me back. I was jumping through the screen, the television screen, to slap her. And this woman with a sign with the red, white, and blue flag on, carrying his, oh my God. And she says, because he's great, because he's a wonderful man, because he tells it like it is. Oh my God. I said, woman, you are
when
holding
I hear
back
that, I
so
keep saying he does not tell it like it is. I
He
keep
doesn't
hearing.
tell the truth. He doesn't know how to tell it like it is. He doesn't know the truth. This man, this is a person, that's right, I can't say man because that's not what he is. He's a moron. He can't tell the truth. He doesn't know what the truth is. He is okay with
He can't
lying.
handle the truth.
He can't handle the truth. Right. Thank you for that. He has no integrity whatsoever. No integrity. No respect for himself or his family or anyone else. Definitely not for women. He has no respect for anyone who doesn't play along with his game. He has no respect. He has no dignity. There's nothing about him that's even dignified. Nothing. And I am so glad that Hillary won't dignify anything that he does or said because it's not worth it. It just isn't worth it. He's a child.
Yeah,
He's
for
a
her to go to
child.
that level,
Yeah, why go
there's
to
no
that
need.
level?
Yeah,
She
yeah,
doesn't,
that's
she's got 30 years worth of experience in
mhm.
in and out of the White House. He has no experience anywhere, not doing anything. And people that say he's smart because he filed bankruptcy, he's smart, he's built businesses. Anybody that is smart, and Warren Buffett called his bluff, Warren
Yeah, about
Buffett
not
is the
paying
one
tax.
that's
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah.
Right. Warren
He
Buffett is the
said,
And
smart
"I'll
man.
show you my taxes. You show me
Yeah,
yours."
I'll see. Yeah, exactly.
what
Warren Buffett
Colette,
doesn't have anything. Right. Go ahead.
Colette, I mentioned this to you the
I'm
other
just
day.
getting too riled
I
up.
know
Go
you're
ahead.
getting too riled. People talk about him not having any political experience, but the fact of the matter also is he's never had a job in his
Right.
life. Okay, he started out working for his father, and then his father loaned him $1 million back in the 70s or early 80s,
Yep.
and then
In the 70s.
when his father passed on, he was upset because he had to share the 400 million with his siblings. So he's
Correct.
never worked for anybody. So, and he said today, I read this morning,
Yeah.
he either said it yesterday or today, that he said, I
I'm
kind of
sort
feel
of a
blue
kind of
collar.
feel like that. Blue
I
collar
feel like
worker.
I'm blue collar. That's like he felt like he was in the military. See,
Yeah. And how does anybody ever say, I've always wanted a Purple Heart?
a Purple
What?
Heart. Nobody wants a Purple Heart.
Nobody wants a Purple Heart. He doesn't even know what it means to
And
get a
see,
Purple Heart.
if he were a man of integrity, when that gentleman came up and said, "Here's my Purple Heart," he said, "Sir, I cannot accept this from you. I
Exactly.
cannot. You earn
Exactly.
this. I cannot accept this from you."
Right. Right.
You know, that's
I don't know if you can earn a Purple Heart. I mean, that's for being wounded. So
that's for
that's,
Yeah,
wounded. Yeah.
yeah.
that's how you earn it. That's
Well,
how
that's how
you
you earn
earn
it.
it. You
Yeah,
take
yeah,
those blows. Yeah. You take
yeah.
those blows and you get up and you keep going. That's how
It's
someone earns a Purple Heart.
you've
This
gone.
moron, yeah, this moron doesn't know what it means to be on the battlefield. He doesn't know what it means. So I've always wanted a Purple Heart. That's an insult.
Yeah, it
That's an
truly is.
insult to
Right.
military men. That's an insult. You know what? Why don't you take your happy self over to wherever you shop in one of your boutiques in one of the closed down hotels and buy yourself a Purple Heart? Come on. How do you say that to people who have lost limb and life? How do you
And
say that?
Tammy Duckworth sent him a picture of her because she's got a Purple Heart. Um, and she sent a picture of of her in the hospital bed. She lost both legs and an arm, and I can't remember. I think it was in Afghanistan because she was a chopper pilot, and the chopper went down. And she says, "This is what it looks like when you earn a Purple Heart."
Right.
Okay, because you've had this is how you get a Purple Heart. So for yeah, it is a serious insult.
It
And
is
I'm
danger.
and if I were running against him, I would bring that up every single time. But the truth of the matter is, he's got his core base of supporters, and they are going to support him. And he said it. I could go out in the middle of Manhattan and shoot somebody. I wouldn't lose any support. And it's absolutely
And
true.
right.
No, no
And
matter
that's exactly what's happening now. No matter what he says, no matter what he does, he still has those idiotic people who are
Right.
still
There's still
supporting him.
people that are right there with him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Every
they're
step of the
still
way.
supporting him. Right.
Hmm.
And you have to ask yourself, What is wrong with those folks? What are they not getting? Because
And
there's
that's what I keep
something
saying.
definitely
He's not the problem. He's not
right.
the problem at all. Because if he said
It's
those
people
things,
will,
it's the people
yeah,
that are supporting him are the problem.
right,
Because you can
right.
be a wacko, but if nobody listens to you, it doesn't make any difference. But if people are listening to you, think you're doing something, saying things like he tells it like it is, and he tells the truth, and all of these things, it's pretty mind-boggling to see. But when you look at who his core is, it's these hardcore, hard right wingers. They talk about it being these non-college educated blue collar white people. And the other thing is
Mm,
that see, he says he has the best words. No, he doesn't, because
no, he
only
doesn't.
he said today or yesterday that he thinks of himself as blue collar because people have been talking about his blue collar support. He never talked about temperament until Hillary talked about his
Right,
temperament. He
right.
never there's all these things that he never talked about until somebody else talks about it. It's really mind-boggling. I mean, just from a purely objective standpoint, how ignorant he is in terms
Yeah.
of someone who he says he went to the Wharton business school. Well, I'm sure his daddy paid his way through there.
He didn't,
Okay,
he, you know
okay.
what? He passed by is what he meant. He
you know.
drove by.
So I'm sure his daddy paid his way through. I'm sure he went there, but his daddy paid his way. That
Paid
happens
his way.
all
He
the
didn't go to
time.
class.
He didn't
He
have
didn't
to
go to
do
class.
anything. He didn't have to do
Yeah.
anything, and that's what because the man is, again, completely objectively speaking. Listen to him. I read something last night that says he speaks at a third grade level. When he says
And he does.
these are bad people. They're doing bad things. And when he told Megyn Kelly, who was on Fox News, "You're not very nice to me."
Oh,
That
God.
that is something a 6-year-old says. You weren't
Yeah.
nice to me. I'm going to tell my
You
mommy. I'm
weren't
going to tell my
nice to
daddy.
me.
You weren't
I'm going
nice to me.
to tell.
He says
Yeah,
they're
you
not
weren't.
nice to me. And
And
see,
you know what? Just
let me say one more thing, and I'll let you cut
go
in.
ahead.
So one more thing is that the people that are his supporters, I'm going to tell you, if you're a Trump supporter, don't be surprised one day when he turns on you.
And that will
Okay,
happen.
all these people that are supporting him, when they have one little bit of criticism, when he does something out there that they don't
Yep.
like, and they criticize him, watch him turn on you like a rabid dog.
Yeah, and he will. And he will because he's done it throughout this entire campaign. He's done it. He turns on anybody. Just like he said Paul Ryan is weak and ineffective. Really? You're calling somebody who's been in politics who know, and don't get me wrong, can't stand him either. But he's going to say weak and ineffective? Prove it. Show me where. He calls names like he is a third grader. And the biggest thing about him is called nanny, nanny, nanny. Uh-huh, I got you. Uh-huh. Now go tell teacher, teach. He is third grader, maybe even a second grader. He is immature. He's ineffective.
I think
Okay.
his I think his slogan should be, "I know you are, but what am I?"
What am I? That's exactly what
Remember,
his
we used to
slogan
say that
should
as
be.
kids. I know
Yeah.
you are, but
And
what am
right.
I?
And that's exactly how he acts. That is exactly how he conducts himself. I
Hmm.
know you are. What am I? And I could see and hear that coming out of his mouth. And we have so many important things that have to change in this country that how in the world could he think that behavior, well, he doesn't think, but for anyone to conduct themselves the way he does, and they call themselves running for the highest office in the land, and this behavior is okay. You can't take that to the White House. You can't take that to the White House. And there's so many, so many inappropriate things about that person and his wife. There he goes. How do you put a first lady, how do you call somebody a first lady who takes nude photos? How
The
do you,
right, the
that,
right, the right was mad about Michelle Obama because she wears dresses, sleeveless dresses,
yes,
and they
sleeveless and
they they
yeah,
have had hissy fits behind that.
yeah. And if the right think that showing her arms is inappropriate and disrespectful to the White House, well, what do you think about nude photos? What do you call that? Okay, and I'm sure that would be well. That happened a long time ago. Well, Michelle isn't wearing arms out today. Okay, so only what's convenient. Those things that are convenient at the moment, that's the way the right wing will go. It's convenient at that time. So they get mad at her about wearing sleeveless dresses. But you're campaigning and you are supporting a person whose wife lied about her citizenship, lied about whether or not she was paid for taking nude photos, took nude photos.
Well, and if she
And all,
didn't lie, you know what's worse? The first thing she did when she got over here was start taking off her clothes for the camera for free.
yeah, well, that was the
Okay,
yeah.
And
so
that's
And
the
tell
first
me,
lady you want in the White House? Okay.
yeah, and that's what you want in the White House? Thank you, Rochelle. That's what you want
Sure.
in the White House, really? No, no, nobody wants that in the White House. And people, as we're saying, think about all of these things. Think about the things that have gone on with this person. If by some very, very slim chance somebody out there who's listening could possibly be either a repub or is considering supporting for that thing, think about it. Because that's not how you need to waste your vote. Don't waste your support like that.
there was
That doesn't our cause.
also
Go
an
ahead.
article today that said if some Democrats think Hillary is that far ahead, they may not go out and vote because they think she's got it in the bag. You know, nothing
Why?
could be further
From the truth.
from the truth in terms of what we need to do. You know,
Yeah.
we need to vote, and we're going to keep harping on this on each show until the election.
Yep.
President voting for the president and the down ballot and the initiatives. And as Colette was saying earlier, read the initiatives because they're very confusing. Voting yes might mean no, and voting
No.
no might mean
Yes. And
yes.
yes.
It's
And their
very
purpose, they're written that way with purpose to
yeah,
confuse people.
yeah. So
They're written that
please
way.
please vote, and if you can, help other people get out and vote. You know, if you
Yeah.
can get to do some phone banking, I've done the phone banking. You know, do whatever you can, but make sure at a minimum you get out and vote.
Right. And it's our responsibility. It is our responsibility to get out and vote. And unfortunately, we don't have the president for a third term, which is unfortunate. I'm sure he's glad. We
Maybe
don't
that's some of
have,
the things that people are mad about, the fact that he's not going to do a third term.
well, he can't. but,
Well,
Right.
you know,
but
I saw a friend of mine the other night, and interestingly enough, and actually he's black, and he said um, he actually said to me, well, Obama's going to um, declare martial law.
oh
I said,
God, really? I've
what?
heard other people say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard right wing people say this, but this is
Yeah.
a brother I've known for a few years, and I thought, and I know he listens to politics. I said, "Are you kidding, man?" And we started talking about it, and he was convinced. But I tell you how I convinced him that that's not going to happen. I said that's not going to happen because white folks wouldn't stand for it.
Absolutely.
They would
They
not
wouldn't
stand
stand
for it.
for it. No, they
Yeah,
wouldn't stand for it. The right
they would
wing
be
wouldn't stand for it.
they
No.
would be in the streets with their guns. And
Right.
we're gonna have a show in the next couple of months about my thoughts about guns, and we've talked about it a bit
Mhm.
before, but we're going to talk more about that. So
Right. Right.
yeah, so because the
And
right wing has been
but
saying he's going to declare martial law. They said Jade Helm, which is this military exercise, is going on in 6 southern states. That they were going to start arresting people, and there was going to be white slaves, and they were going to use these abandoned Walmarts to as concentration camps. There is
oh God.
some really crazy stuff going on out there. You know
Right.
that that
Right.
that
Well, yeah, and I even have people from the East Coast that are telling me what's getting ready to happen here. They say it's just a matter of checking on the internet and paying attention as to what's getting ready to come down.
you know
Right. And
we
you have to remember these are some very, very uh, uh, difficult times, to say the least. These are some very difficult times, and people are coming to the conclusion that they have nothing to lose. And just like the moron said, even during the break, that black people have nothing to lose. Why not vote for me? what do you have to lose? Just you got 45% unemployment in your communities. What he calls out things that he doesn't know anything about. He's not at all about the facts. He makes up these things.
Yep.
And
And
black people need to be pissed off by him saying things that are so completely outrageous. He doesn't know what the numbers are.
no, I know he does,
45% of your
and
community
he lies about them
unemployment.
all the time. But it is that we are at the top of the hour, so we're going to have to go ahead and close out. Do we have any closing comments from our guest?
Yeah,
I just thank you
Rochelle, how about
for
you?
today. Just put your mouth, how you say it, put your action to what we have to do in voting. There are people in other countries that don't even have the rights that we have. Our ancestors died for us to be in the position that we're in. And don't listen to naysayers. Do what's on your heart. If you don't know, ask questions. Do phone banking in your area. Get together as a group and figure out what initiatives in your neighborhood, in the building that you live in. This is a time for us to unite and come together with our power. Power in the
Right,
voting.
Exactly.
absolutely.
Power in numbers.
Power numbers, power
Thank you
and numbers,
so
and power.
And thank you so very much out there for listening. Wanted to remind you that you can listen to the podcast. You can go to Talk Radio, blacktalkradionetwork.com. You can also listen to the podcast at tunein.com and on stitcher.com. I am Kenny Hendricks. This is Change Matters Solutions.
And I am Colette Williams. And don't forget, we're also on YouTube. And we're on YouTube and we're on so many other platforms. So please be sure to listen to us. And I want to add one more thing, and that is don't forget to go to IamOneOfTheMillion.com. And if you can't participate at the conference October 20 through the 23rd in Atlanta, please be sure to support the organization. They are a grassroots organization and they are here to give power to the people. So don't forget, I am one of the million. And in Los Angeles on next weekend, this coming weekend, there is the Taste of Soul that takes place here in LA on Crenshaw Boulevard. So there are a lot of things going on in the Black community that we need to support. So all of you, I'm going to be in Dallas pretty soon, y'all. So I'll be telling you about what's going on in Dallas. But remember, this is Black Talk Radio. Please support blacktalkradio.com, Black Talk Radio Baby at Gmail, Change Matters 99 at gmail.com. Support us. Listen to what we're doing. Call us, call in, talk on the show. This is a show that we've laid out for you. We want everyone to be a part of this. We are Change Matters, and we can change with you joining us. So remember, I am Colette Williams, and our contributor, our show contributor today was Rochelle James, and we're here. Listen, and thank you very much. We're signing out. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye, all.
Take
All right,
care.
thank you. God bless.